What if the biggest lie you've ever believed is that your life needs a complete overhaul to change, when all it really needs is one small decision repeated every single day? This is the story of a woman who lost everything and rebuilt her entire world with habits so tiny they seemed almost worthless, until they weren't. Lisa Morgan sat in her car outside a storage unit at 2 in the morning, crying into her hands. She was 41 years old, recently divorced, and completely broke. 3 months earlier, her husband of 17 years had left her for someone younger. 2 months ago, she lost her job as an office manager when the company downsized. Last week, she had been evicted from her apartment. Everything she owned now fit into a 10 by 10 storage locker in the back seat of her 2008 Honda Civic. Lisa had nowhere to go and no idea how she had fallen this far. She drove to a 24-hour diner and sat in a corner booth with a cup of coffee she could barely afford. Her phone battery was at 12%. Her bank account showed $37. She scrolled aimlessly through social media, looking at people living normal lives, and felt like a complete failure. How did everyone else figure it out? Why couldn't she? Then she saw a post from an old college friend about a book called The Compound Effect. The post talked about how small daily actions, just 1% improvements, could completely transform your life over time. Lisa almost scrolled past it. She didn't believe in self-help. She didn't believe much in anything anymore. But something made her click. She read the friend's story about losing weight, getting promoted, and turning her finances around, all by making tiny adjustments every single day.
Lisa sat there in that diner booth and made a decision. She had nothing left to lose. She would try one thing, just one small thing every day. That was it. She couldn't fix everything at once, but maybe she could do something small. She pulled out a napkin and wrote down one goal: get back on my feet. Then she asked herself, what is the smallest step I can take tomorrow? The answer came quickly. Apply for one job. Not 10 jobs, not a complete career change, just one application. The next morning, Lisa woke up in her car with a stiff neck and dry mouth. She went to the public library when it opened, used their computer, and applied for a receptionist position at a local gym. It took 20 minutes. When she finished, she felt a tiny flicker of something she hadn't felt in months: hope. The following day, she did it again. One application, 20 minutes. By the end of the week, she had applied to 7 jobs. On day 9, she got a call back. They wanted to interview her for a part-time position at a small accounting firm. The pay was low, but it was something. Lisa showed up to the interview wearing the one professional outfit she had left. She got the job. It wasn't glamorous. She answered phones, filed paperwork, and made coffee, but it was a paycheck. For the first time in months, Lisa had a reason to wake up. She continued her 1% rule. Every day, she did one small thing to improve her situation. She started with her mornings. Instead of waking up in panic, she set her alarm 15 minutes earlier and used that time to sit quietly and breathe. Just breathe. It seemed pointless at first, but slowly those 15 minutes became the calmest part of her day.
Next, she tackled her finances. Lisa had always been terrible with money. She spent impulsively and avoided looking at her accounts, but she decided to track her spending for just 5 minutes every evening. She wrote down every dollar she spent. No judgment, just awareness. Within 2 weeks, she noticed patterns. She was spending $12 a day on coffee and snacks. $12 might not sound like much, but over a month, that was $360, money she desperately needed. Lisa made a small change. She started bringing instant coffee in a thermos and packing a sandwich. It wasn't fancy, but it saved her nearly $350 the first month. That money went toward finding a room to rent. She found a listing for a small room in a shared house. It wasn't much, but it had a bed, a window, and a door she could lock. After 2 months of sleeping in her car, it felt like a palace. With a stable place to sleep and a job, Lisa turned her attention to rebuilding herself emotionally. She had spent months drowning in shame and self-pity. She knew she needed to shift her mindset, but she didn't know how. So she started with gratitude. Every night before bed, she wrote down 3 things she was grateful for. At first, it felt forced. I'm grateful for this lumpy mattress. I'm grateful for running water. I'm grateful I didn't cry today. But over time, the practice softened something inside her. She started noticing small moments of beauty. A kind word from a coworker, the way sunlight filtered through her window, the fact that she had survived another day. Gratitude became her anchor. 6 months into her 1% journey, Lisa's life looked completely different. She had been promoted to full-time at the accounting firm. Her boss noticed her reliability and attention to detail. She was earning enough to save a little each month. She had moved into a better apartment, still small, but entirely her own. She had reconnected with a few old friends and started attending a weekly community yoga class. But the biggest change wasn't external, it was internal. Lisa no longer saw herself as broken. She saw herself as someone who was rebuilding, one small step at a time. She had learned that transformation doesn't require perfection, it requires consistency. Research supports what Lisa discovered through experience. Scientists have found that if you improve by just 1% each day for a year, you end up 37 times better than when you started. This happens because of compounding. Small improvements build on each other, creating exponential growth over time. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day, you decline to nearly nothing. The direction matters, but so does the consistency.
Lisa's story illustrates a critical truth. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year. They try to change everything at once, burn out, and quit. But sustainable change happens slowly. It happens when you commit to small, manageable actions and repeat them until they become automatic. Lisa didn't wake up one day and fix her entire life. She woke up each day and did one thing, then another, then another. Over time, those small actions compounded into a completely new reality. 1 year after sitting in that diner, Lisa was unrecognizable. She had been promoted again, this time to office manager. She was earning more than she had before her divorce. She had paid off her credit card debt and started an emergency fund. She had lost 20 pounds, not from dieting, but from walking 30 minutes every morning and making slightly better food choices each day. She had started taking online courses in accounting and was considering going back to school for her degree. But what she was most proud of wasn't the external success, it was the internal strength she had built. Lisa had learned that she was capable of more than she ever imagined. She had learned that she didn't need a perfect plan or ideal circumstances. She just needed to show up, every single day, 1% at a time. Lisa's transformation began with a napkin in a diner and a willingness to try something small. If she can rebuild her life from nothing using the 1% rule, so can you. The question is, what small habit will you start today? What 1% improvement can you commit to? Maybe it's drinking 1 glass of water when you wake up. Maybe it's reading 1 page of a book. Maybe it's saving $1. Maybe it's taking 1 deep breath before reacting. Whatever it is, start, because 1 year from now, you'll wish you had started today. Your life doesn't need a dramatic overhaul. It just needs you to get 1% better every single day. And if you do that, everything changes.